Yeah, it has been a while since I've worn the Scarface shirt. Thank you for asking. Hey there, kiddos. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank. Hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my very squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about card games, designing card games, and the rules for card games. You see, from time to time, people actually reach out to me and ask me if I have any input or feedback for the rules of card games that they're actually designing. And that's always really cool if someone values your opinions enough that they'll ask you, hey, what do you think of this rule set? I don't really think my personal opinions when it comes to designing a card game are worth more than anyone else's on account of the fact that I've never produced a card game. But I do still feel kind of cool when people ask me regardless. And um, I always do my best to read through whatever rules they send me and any mechanics they have or any work in progress cards to try and give my best opinion of it. And I have found more often than not that I do end up giving very similar advice or my very similar feedback for a lot of card games that come my way, and that is um, the takeaway of this video, which is going to be a piece of advice that I'm going to be giving to a lot of people, I think. Make your rules simpler. Almost always. You see, right here I have the original Yu-Gi-Oh! 2.0 rules. I think this one was printed with Pegasus, I believe. Uh, this is the basic rules that you need to know in order to play the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. Inside of this little rule book, there are 35 pages of mostly just going over terminology, describing the phases of the game, explaining what the different kinds of cards are, etc., as well as win conditions, things like that, the basics of the game. But I don't know if you've ever played Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the olden days, but the core rules for this game are very simple. Normal summon a monster once per turn, play the number of spells and traps that you can, draw a card at the start of your turn, the 10 zones you have access to, etc. It's all very simple. Actually, while I'm holding the book here, I'm very fond of the early versions of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules because on page, 3? The earliest versions of the rules actually have a little note saying, hey, Exodia does count as a win condition. It just spells out the Exodia thing here. I like that a lot. Taking a special space in the rulebook just to explain that this card does in fact win you the game. But anyway, something to note about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game itself, is that in the 20 years, over 20 years, since this TCG has come out here in the West, the core rules rarely have changed. Obviously, pendulums were included and created. The link summoning mechanic changed the zones. But that took a long time to get to. For over 10 years, the basic rules of the game, how the phases worked, what zones were available to you, the deck size and all that jazz, all the core rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! Have remained basically the same. What's changed over the years is the mechanics of the game. And you'll notice, even 10 years ago, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a mechanically complex game. Before Link summons, before Pendulum summons, before all that stuff. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been a very complex game since, I want to say, 2009, 2010, maybe? It's been fairly complex, even for someone like me, who grew up with it. But that complexity doesn't come from the core rules, because as I said, these basic rules could still basically get you into Yu-Gi-Oh! If you read that little rule book right now and you had no idea how to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, that would still give you the basics. What it wouldn't do is give you all the rundowns for the mechanics of the game, the individual breakdowns of how the new archetypes work and all that jazz, because mechanics are where you'll find a lot of complexity in games when you are looking at a well-designed game. And that, I think, is very important to understand. The difference between rule set and mechanics. And that is my advice to any game designer out there who is willing to listen to my terrible opinions. That is basically make the core rules of your game as accessible as possible. make it so that your the basic how to play guide is obviously making it easy to digest, making it easy to follow through the uh, rules document is always, of course, important. But making it so that the core rules are easy to understand, easy to pick up, and overall simplistic enough that they can carry through several games at a time without really introducing a lot of complexity creep. That's very important. You can make your mechanics as complex as you want. You can make the cards in your game do all kinds of zany, weird shit that operate within the rule set, but are more complex than the basics, right? You know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Allows for one normal summon a turn, for instance. But there's all kinds of crazy special summoning rules and mechanics for that game. There's all kinds of archetypes that even give you additional normal summons, right? You can normal summon an additional number of times with certain archetypes. Some archetypes special summon a bazillion cards, or go through your entire deck playing one monster, which plays another monster, which plays another monster. That's not a core rule of the game. That's a mechanic of the cards. And that's a key difference that I think a lot of people tend to forget. There's a lot of card games that I look at the rules for, not just the stuff people send me, but card games I look that have either been dead for a long time or are fairly new, and I can tell that they might not be around for a long time. Usually, card games that have more innate rules complexity tend to be harder to pick up and therefore less likely to grip a generational audience. It's important, I think, for younger audiences to be able to easily get into your card game, because that ensures that as your current audience ages out, more players can come in and replace them. It makes the revolving door of players, collectors, and fans easier to sustain. This is why Pokemon, for instance, has a consistently low complexity rules system. The Pokemon rules are very simple, right? The Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules are very simple. The Magic rules, at their core, are very simple. Magic's basic rules have not changed in 30 years. The most complex games, I think, are the ones that are trying to do something special, something unique, something interesting. They're trying to stand out from the crowd. They're trying to really show themselves off as these really cool, powerful, unique games that will show off how smart you are, right? But at the end of the day, while that complexity can be cool, don't get me wrong, it can be alienating, and alienating potential audiences over the rules of the game, the entry point of your game, will do more harm than good in the long term, I think. So my advice to any game designers out there, and again, this is just my opinion, you guys don't have to take this to heart, you know, like I said, I've never put out a game, ever. I've designed some card games, but I've never produced one. It's 10:45 at night, and I'm debating whether or not I should design a card game to release it. I don't think I will. Anyway, my advice to would-be card game designers is to make the core rules of your game as accessible as possible. And by that, I mean any cool mechanics, any cool rules that you want to add to your card game, really evaluate for yourself whether or not that's something that needs to be in the basic rules of your game, or if it's something that can be shoved into the mechanics of a card or an archetype or a set as keyword effects or special rules for those cards to have, rather than something that's basic as part of the game. Because again, the easier it is for players to pick up your game and play with the most basic cards, the better, I think. Obviously, simple, accessible rules are not the only thing people look for. There's all kinds of factors that determine what people look for in a game and why they are attracted to it. Accessibility is just one factor, but it does help. So I'm going to leave it there because I feel like I'm going to go running around circles if I keep going. But yeah, honestly, I think accessible rules, easy to understand rules, easy to pick up rules, are just super important, especially in newer TCGs with so much challenge out there, so much competition in the market. Have all the complexity you want, but leave it out of the rules, you know? I hope I explained that well. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. So that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me, disagree with me, or think I'm even crazier for bringing this topic up in the first place. Check out the Discord, the Patreon, the TCG Player Store, all of them in the description below. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.